Namaste. On behalf of Chairperson Ms. Shabra Maheshwari and her committee, I, Gunjan Sundhi, Honorary Secretary FICCI Flow, would like to extend a warm welcome to our dynamic and charismatic guest speaker, Ms. Palki Sharma Upadhyay, FICCI Chairperson Mr. Muralidharan, our chairpersons, our distinguished past chairs, and our esteemed members. May I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem, which has been curated for us by past and present chairpersons and Kokilas of Flow Hyderabad.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय ही भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे
Amalgamation of the spirit of Telangana, the essence of women empowerment, and the commitment to sustainability. The string of pearls represent the city of pearls. The badge itself is made of refurbished wood. The flower motif is handcrafted in the traditional art form of Tanjore. The flowers depicted on the badges are symbolic of state festival of Batukama. All the components used to make these badges have been sourced from women entrepreneurs to facilitate women entrepreneurship at all levels. Staying true to sustainability, we have ensured that they are reusable even after the year ends as a contemporary neck piece. I hope that these badges serve as a reminder that the working together can produce remarkable outcomes. So please, core committee and executive committee heads to line up for pictures with our speaker. I would like to invite our chairperson, Ms. Shabra Maheshwari, to come to the dais and share her welcome address, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Schools and universities have taught us how to earn, but who will teach us how to manage what we earn? Today is that day when we consciously decide to learn. Every member present here today has taken that choicest decision to learn. So thank you for being here and give a round of applause to yourself. Lovely afternoon, ladies. The single biggest difference between financial success and financial failure is how well you manage your money. It's simple. To master money, you must manage money. It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard that money works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. Money earned should earn further for you. Otherwise, what's the fun of earning money? Do you agree? Take your finances in your own hands. Learn to deal with them rather than being the victim of ignorance. Be the heroine of your own life. Look for help. Learn. Only an empowered woman can empower her children. Every mother sitting here, when you take the decision to learn and to take your finances in your own grip, that is when your daughter will get the inspiration to stand on her own 2 feet and take control on her own finances. Otherwise, there is always a husband, brother, son to take control. Learn how to save. Learn how to make your savings earn for you. Learn internet banking. Learn investment opportunities. Learn why that gold set sitting in the locker is a wasteful expenditure. Learn about it. When you buy gold thinking, oh, you've invested your savings, wrong. That gold only appreciates in value as per the gold rate. But when you invest in a gold bond, that is when your gold increases in value with the market fluctuation and also fetches you interest, which is your money earning for you. Write to us. There is a financial literacy initiative this year. That's a theme of our year. Write to the flow number. Write on email. Write on WhatsApp. What is the specific learning you need? Reach out to the financial literacy head, Sujita Chityala. Let's make a difference to our lives jointly. Be it building a decision-making ability, understanding the business cycle, and enlightening us about the benefits of multiple income streams, financial education provides knowledge about every aspect of utilizing, investing, and regenerating the resources. Financial independence makes women feel secure and respected, irrespective of your socio-economic background. It's not necessary you have to be an earning member. You save, right? Utilize those savings in the right manner. To improve the current situation, we have launched this initiative of the year. And if you people take advantage of this, that is when we as Flow Committee feel good about the initiative. We are thrilled to launch the Financial Literacy Initiative today at Hyderabad. I'm also the national head for the initiative. And we've been working behind the scenes to curate meaningful programs throughout the year with the aim of empowering all of you to be more financially independent and secure. At the grassroots level also, we will be facilitating courses to start early financial education, decision-making, resource planning, and management. Reach out to that domestic help of yours. Reach out to that slum near your building, your house. Let the financial literacy team know that there is a group of women at the grassroots level who needs help, and we are here to help. To help us put our first step together towards financial success is amongst us Ms. Palki Sharma Upadhyay, a woman who's paved a path for herself as an award-winning journalist and the managing editor of WION. We are also grateful to ICICI Bank, who've been promoting women entrepreneurship through various first-of-its-kind women-centric initiatives, for partnering with us and offering a wide variety of services for our members. I would like to give a big round of applause to ICICI. Yes, you took a couple of months, but you accepted everything that we asked for and gave it all to us. Thank you. For our members, ICICI is ready to support with business loans as well as other types of fundings at better rates of interest than other banks. Ladies, they've given a counter offer. They're saying that their rates will be lesser than whatever you're availing. So avail that opportunity. There is no waiver of any documentation or any due diligences for any Flow member, but avail it. Just reach out to Sujita or our team members. They'll connect you to the bank. Try it out. If you think your business's funding is getting better from ICICI, go ahead. If not, report back to us. We'll go back to ICICI. Credit cards. ICICI has also offered their Sapphire and Rubik's credit cards. These are their high-end credit cards on a lifetime subscription-free, free of charge basis for all Flow members. If any of you are interested, you can go to their desk outside and register. Again, the KYC documentation is all that they need, and that's up to you if you want to avail that. But those are good credit cards, and you can take advantage of the fact that they've given it to Flow ladies free of cost. All Flow Hyderabad members are eligible to avail any of these services upon completion of necessary documentation. There will be no waiver in documentation and due diligences. We are also delighted that ICICI Securities has agreed to conduct a 6-hour mentorship series spread over 4 weeks. It's a certified course on financial planning, investment journey, and trading insights. You will be certified after this. It's nice. Do the course. We'll release a Google form today after the event. Fill that up. Do the course. Depending upon the response to the Google form, ICICI will decide whether it will be an online course or an offline course. Either ways, do it. I would suggest we'll end up learning something important for which we are currently or probably little dependent on the men in the family. Let us all make most of these and many more opportunities to become a stronger and more self-reliant she, because she is. Before I close, I would like to announce that Style Tattva VIP passes are now available at the registration desk outside. Request all of you to collect them for yourselves, your friends, and your family. Spread the word far and sundry. I want to see a stampede at Style Tattva, guys. Each one of you is responsible in creating that stampede. Each one of you has to promote. My team at Style Tattva has worked really hard. Every vendor request that comes to buy a stall, there is a complete team from Ritu Shah to Rashmi to Simran and a horde of other warriors working. They have not let out stalls easily this time. They have curated each and every stall. Make use of it. Get your friends and family. You wouldn't be disappointed. It will be amazing shopping experience. And as I said in the last event, shopping is the best therapy. So we have a very beautiful statement by our pastor. I would request one of our Nishita can ensure that all ICICI and all the men in the audience, including chairperson's husband, gets a lot of VIP passes, and all the men present here must promote shopping amongst their wives. Let's make second edition of Style Tattva a bigger Bahubali than the one created before. In our last event, we had also launched Virinchi health cards. Those are free of cost health checkups for all our Flow members. If you've renewed your subscription and not picked up the health card, you can pick it up today. Thank you so much.
With grace and gratitude, I would now like to invite Subodh Kasita, National Head Portfolio Management Services, ICICI Securities and Private Wealth Management, to join us on the dais. May I request Chairperson Ms. Shubhra Maheshwari to join us on the dais, please? Ms. Shubhra Maheshwari would now felicitate Mr. Subodh. So, would request you to share your presentation on the mentorship program.
Good evening, everyone. So it's quite intimidating, I would say. We've usually, been used to being in majority in the corporate world. So quite intimidating to be in minority for a change, but really, really happy to be here. So I'll do it extempore. I don't have a structured speech with me. I thought, we're very passionate about what we're trying to do. So I'll start with a quote, which I read somewhere by Christine Lagarde, who was, once the director of IMF. And she said that if Lehman Brothers was Lehman Sisters, the financial crisis of 2008 would have never happened. So I don't know whether how much truth there is, but, it has an overarching message, which is that, females, women, and, we've been part of the financial industry for a long time, and we've managed people's portfolios across various social stratas, across the length and the breadth of the country. What we've realized, and why that, entire quote, chimed with me, was we've really figured out that it's typically a male bastion. And for whatever obscure reason, female and women have typically been absent whenever it comes to financial planning, portfolio management, and it's always been men, the fathers, the brothers, who've been involved in managing portfolios. So, sometime last year we realized that diversity in everything is really important. And we also said that being a financial powerhouse, and ICICI Securities typically is one of the largest wealth managers in the country, we said, we have to, use our might, and we have to do our bit in educating women in financial education, in financial planning. And we also realized over a period of time, to the myth that, for someone to manage one's portfolio, one needs to be technically very good. One needs to understand markets very, very well. But that's the job of a fund manager, finally. But for you and me, if we have to really build up a portfolio, we have to create a financial portfolio for ourselves, it is not the science, but the art. It is not the market knowledge, but the behavioral characteristics that you exhibit, which finally help you build up a great portfolio. And I really feel, and if you ask me what are the behavioral traits that one needs to become a successful, someone who's successful in building up a portfolio, the traits are resilience, the traits are tenacity, the traits are discipline. And when you come to think of it, traits like these are so prominent among women. I think they are more present in women than in men. And so why is this, this entire 40-50% of the world population which is absent from this sphere of investing. So I think that's very, very important. The way you create more diversity is by educating. As Aristotle one very nicely said, that when you know, you do, but when you understand, you teach. So if we can do our bit by teaching all of you on how to invest, how to build up a portfolio, you in turn, as Mrs. Maheshwari said, could go on and teach other people on how to invest and build your portfolio. So what we did in this endeavor, sometime 5 or 6 months back, we said, how do we reach out to various cohorts of women, people who are our clients, wives of our clients who invest with us, and how do we really, structure a program for them? And we started this with the FICCI Flow Pune chapter, and then we moved on to the FICCI Flow Chennai chapter, where we used the industry experts which are there in-house within our own organization, which is ICICI Securities, because we are one of the largest research/investment banking/ wealth manager in the country. And then we leveraged our entire relationship with various fund managers to create a program. And when Mrs. Shubhra said that, we will create a program of 5 to 6 weeks, as we said that if we get interest, we could either do an online program where we get the best fund managers in the country, we get the best industry minds, the minds from our own company to teach you over a period of 5 or 6 weeks online. Or if you think that, it makes more sense, to have a boot camp of 1 or 2 days physically, and if we get all these people physically in front of you and to teach you, whichever model works for you, we will do that. So I think it's a privilege, and it's a great pleasure that we've got the opportunity to do it. And I would only request that all of you should take this opportunity, because these are the best guys in the industry, as good as it gets. And to really understand, the pitfalls. So all of us, including me, if I've been a wealth manager and if I've managed people's money or my own money for 15, 20 years, no one is right. Everyone learns, and every day is a learning experience. So as you say, you stand on the shoulders of the great. And we're not great, but we know something at least. So learn from our pitfalls, learn from the mistakes that we've committed, and try building up a portfolio. So that's all about the mentorship program. But, along with me are my colleagues from ICICI Bank. And as we said, it's not about only teaching you on how to invest, but it's also about providing you with the right tools, providing you with the right platform, so that you get access to money and you're able to fund your company. Sorry. Over to you, please.
Now I would request Ms. Madhulika to just join us and give her part of the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry. My name is Madhulika Chaudhary. I represent ICICI Bank, Hyderabad. It is quite heartwarming and, inspiring to be in presence of such beautiful, luminous, and successful, accomplished women here. We thank you, Ms. Shubhra, and the committee members for giving us this opportunity to participate and contribute to this unique platform of women entrepreneurship. And it's our privilege to have you here, Palki ma'am. I must tell you that the fan following that you have is more than the Bollywood celebrities would ever have. So, yeah, it's a short time, so we'll start with our presentation. Let's have a look at the financial standing of ICICI Bank. So, we are one of the India's leading financial services, financial conglomerate, we will say. We have a lot of group companies, and the balance sheet size of the bank is at 17,526 billion. Coming to the core operating profit, it is valued at rupees 333 billion rupees. These figures are latest figures as on March 2022. Then coming to the deposit and advances base, that is the book that we have with us, and the loans book that we have with us is 10,645 billion and 8,590 billion respectively. And coming to the distribution and reach that we have, that is the largest in the country, and we have close to 5,500 branches and 13,000 plus ATMs in the country to service you all. Coming to the total capital adequacy ratio. Now this ratio, tells us how, what is the financial strength and the stability of the institution, and we are at 19.16%, which is way, way beyond the regulatory threshold of 11.7%. So with such a great, financial foothold, we are one of the systemically important bank, systematically important bank. This title is given by the government of India, that this bank is too big to fail. Yeah. So as Shubhra ma'am already covered a few of our offerings, which are exclusively curated for FICCI Flow members. There are few key offerings that we thought that we will offer to the FICCI members. One of them is personal loans. So that is for salaried and self-employed individuals, as well as for proprietorship, partnership, and private limited companies. Yeah. So coming to credit cards, we have, our premium gemstone collection. Sachin sir, you want to come? Okay, yeah, I have to be quick. Is it? So there are a lot of products, ma'am. So what we will do is we will just run through them. Like we have exclusively premium cards for FICCI Flow members. Okay, sure. Thank you.
And our very jestful speaker, Ms. Palki Upadhyay, to join us on the dais. I would now request the events team to get the memento for the felicitation.
Ma'am, the center, please, ma'am. Just a second. One more, please, ma'am, with your permission.
I would now like to request Ms. Sujita Chityala, Financial Literacy Lead, to introduce our speaker, Ms. Palki Sharma Upadhyay.
Ms. Palki Sharma is an award-winning journalist and the managing editor of WION, India's only international news channel with a presence in over 190 countries. She hosts India's most watched prime-time English news show called Gravitas and the internationally acclaimed digital show called Gravitas Plus. She also conceptualizes and leads the channel's annual event in Dubai called the WION Global Summit. As an international journalist, Palki has reported from the ground on key events and stories like the ongoing Ukraine conflict, the Quad summits in Tokyo and Washington, D.C., the UNGA sessions, the Easter attacks in Sri Lanka, the Modi-Xi Wuhan summit, PM Modi's Israel visit, etc. Her coverage of the pandemic and sharp commentary on China's role has won her a global following. Palki has a career over 21 years with stints in the ITV network, CNN IBN, and Doordarshan News as anchor and editor. She has also worked with the Hindustan Times newspaper, From geopolitics and climate change to space missions and social trends, Palki tracks a range of news stories that interest and impact people and shape our collective future. She has been a speaker at prestigious events and institutions like the Harvard Business School, the London School of Economics, Future Investment Initiative Riyadh, Raisina Dialogue, New Delhi, ISRO, etc. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today.
Now I would request Chairperson Ms. Shubhra Maheshwari to take the session forward.
Good afternoon, Palki. Thank you so much for being here. We have been rescheduling your dates. You've been traveling, busy, and the world is seeing why you're busy. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And we would love to hear a few words from you. Thank you. Maybe I should take that one.
Wonderful. No teleprompter, so bear with me. Good afternoon. Shubhraji, of course, for having me here. You and your team have been very, very kind and warm in your welcome. It's lovely to see you all. Mr. Murli Reddy, FICCI Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be with you today. And thank you, FICCI Flow, for inviting me. Choice, parity, financial wisdom, evolving women. When you gave me this topic, I thought, where do I start and where will I end and how do I say everything that I want to say? I want to, first of all, congratulate you for the launch of this financial literacy initiative, and I think calling it the need of the hour would be an understatement. Money management, I say, is a life skill that some of us, including myself, are still learning. And financial well-being is the right of every individual. And when we send our children to school, we teach them how to ride a bike, we teach them basic life skills, but somewhere I think we forget to tell them how to manage money. And this is a big gaping hole in our system. Everyone should have a lesson or two, yet somehow we are rarely taught personal finance management at school. And I think as we grow up, most of us get a crash course from our parents, mostly our fathers. Some of us get investment tips from our friends and colleagues a little late in the day when we are trying to make ends meet, even though we are working professionals. Formal introduction to financial literacy is something that very few people in India manage to get. So again, kudos to FICCI Flow for doing what they're doing. I'm sure the industry will follow suit. I'm sure educationists will look at this as a gap that needs to be filled. And every time I've spoken on this subject, I have discussed what a conflicting relationship we have, a complicated relationship we have with money in India. You know, in our society, in our culture, we are taught not to chase money. I don't know how many of you speak Hindi, but in Hindi we say, "Paisa haath ka mail hai." So mail is not to be, chased or wanted. At the same time, in Hinduism, we have a goddess of wealth, Lakshmi. We all pray to her. We worship her so that the wheel of fortune does not turn against us. So we are taught to look down upon money. At the same time, we are also taught to worship money. But we are not taught how to understand money, let alone manage it. And that is why this relationship is so complicated. When I tell stories, I dwell on numbers, so I've come with some numbers. A recent survey revealed that only 27% of Indian adults are financially literate. That's a little more than a quarter, barely. Do you know what the number is in the United Kingdom? 67% adults in the UK are financially literate. 59% in Singapore, 57% in the United States. So we have a long way to go. In India, people are often misled on the pretext of financial advice, which is also a reason why a lot of people do not want to invest in formal structures, because they don't know how to go about it, and they are scared of being duped. They're tricked into making bad investments, and all of this happens because we do not have the basic financial skills. In my line of work, I interact with a lot of people, a lot of young people. My channel is one of the youngest in the industry, and our team has young professionals. And a lot of them tell me how difficult it is for them to make ends meet. Also, journalism is not a very high-paying profession, but beyond that, they stay away from their families, they live in a city like Delhi or Mumbai, and they're struggling to make ends meet because they do not know how to manage their salary and their money. So a lot of people apply for credit cards blindly. Nothing against credit cards, but you have to use them judiciously, like everything else. They get debt trapped, they borrow more money to pay older loans, and this is a vicious cycle they get into. I was recently looking at an RBI report which said that almost 43% of the Indian population is borrowing money from informal sources. 43%, and that means 43% of our people are paying higher interest than they have to. They don't have to do it, but they do it because they don't know better. And that is where initiatives like this come in. So it is our duty, all of us sitting in the hall, to sort of start the process of change to make financial literacy mainstream. You can enroll in the courses that Shubhraji has talked about. We can also encourage our family members to do the same. Most importantly, I think we should encourage schools to do this. 60% of Indian school students do not understand investment. They do not understand the concept of risk and reward. 45% students do not know how to make a budget. Even as journalists, when a new reporter comes in and when we talk about assignments, we have to make a budget. And I see every time a new person is being sent on an assignment, they struggle. They don't know how much will they spend, what do they need. And so in-house, within the channel, we are trying to do some things. We are trying to have in-house financial literacy workshops, but also through our coverage, because we reach in about 200 odd countries, and hopefully a lot of people watch us. So we want to, through our reportage, influence people. We've been talking about the need for financial education. We've been speaking at length about what other countries are doing. Denmark, for instance, they've made financial literacy mandatory. In America, schools on financial management, personal finance management is compulsory in many, many schools. Those lessons are compulsory. Norway, Sweden, Canada, Israel, we've been doing stories on these countries because they have very high financial literacy rates. So maybe we can learn something from them, see what they're doing, and what can be replicated here in India. Another thing that we've been doing is making conversations related to financial literacy accessible. The reason why a lot of people don't deal with it is because they're scared. They don't understand money, they don't understand the math, they don't understand what goes into making your money work for you, and so they avoid it. So what we try to do is, we're telling you what's happening, minus the jargon and the numbers. And if you're not doing it well, you should tell me after this session, not right now. But this is our effort to not just tell you what's happening in the world. When we talk about a slowdown in China maybe, or the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, we're also trying to tell our people how it will impact them. And that, in our small ways, how we are contributing to making our audience a little more financially aware. Another subject that some of you briefly touched was that finance has been considered a domain for men and a domain for educated men. And I think it's a myth that needs to be busted urgently. We must evolve out of this thinking. And I'll tell you why I think so. For generations, we've all had mothers and grandmothers who secretly save money. You'll see some rolled cash under a mattress or in a rice container or a jewelry box. And we saw some of those stashes come out during demonetization, and we asked them, where were you hiding all of this, right? But that was their way of saving for a rainy day. That was their way of taking a little money out of the monthly budget just in case there's an emergency. So I would say that budgeting and saving comes naturally to women, and especially Indian women. I mean, there are 100 odd things at least in an average Indian kitchen. and your mother does not have an Excel sheet. She has it all here. She knows that in 10 days I'll run out of this, and I will need this 1 week from now. They're naturally good at it. And imagine what will happen if we teach them financing, if we teach them investment, the money that they've saved, the money that they've been keeping, if we can teach them how to make that money grow and not, keep it stashed under the mattress. It could be a game changer, I think, not just on a personal level, but an institutional level, even a national level. There was a recent survey of the Jan Dhan accounts, and it threw up some very interesting findings. The average balance maintained by women is 30% more than men. Women tend to save. Today, more women are also earning. Women are leading startups at various levels, leading big companies, also selling pickles and papad and, making clothes, starting food delivery businesses. But I think earning money is not enough. Just earning alone is not enough. It does not make a woman financially independent. She needs to know that she has the right over her money, that it's hers to spend, it's hers to control. She needs to know her financial rights, and she also, more importantly, needs to know that there are grievance redressal mechanisms in case she does not have access to her own money. She must be made aware of the various ways in which she can save, invest, and roll her money. And like you guys said, a lot of women still, irrespective of which social strata they come from, they depend on the male members of their family to make those financial decisions, their husband or their father. They are the ones who decide how the taxes will be filed. They are the ones who decide which stocks and bonds you will invest in. Only 33% of Indian women take independent financial decisions. 64% men take independent financial decisions. We need to double this 33% because that is the only way for real empowerment to come. We have to make women more financially skilled, and there is no better time to do this than now. Digitization is a huge gift. You don't have to go to a bank, you don't have to stand in a long queue, you don't have to fill those long, very difficult to fill forms anymore. It's all on your smartphone at your fingertips. You can do it. Digitization, of course, has also made people more vulnerable to financial fraud, and that is why it is important to learn what to do and how to do and learn it from the experts to be able to make your money work. Financial independence is empowerment. It is also the first step towards parity and equality. A woman who has good savings and a sense of investment will not be suppressed by money power. A woman who is financially skilled, who has an insurance, will not think twice before spending on her own health care, on her own well-being. Studies have shown that a woman who is financially independent is more likely to walk out of an abusive relationship because she knows she has options, she has avenues, she can support herself. A woman who is financially independent can take care of her elderly parents. She can share caregiving responsibilities, she can send her daughter or even son to the school of their choice. And most of us in this room may not feel some of these challenges, but for a lot of women, these are issues that define their existence. So making financial literacy accessible to women will be a game changer, I say, at an institutional level. And our challenge in India is very big. And I keep coming back to numbers because numbers give you a clear picture of where we stand. 62% Indian women either don't have a bank account, or if they have, they don't have direct access to it. Someone else is controlling it for them. So they may have the money notionally, but they'll never be able to take out the money without the permission of that one man in their house. And if we improve this number, we will make a difference to the economy at a national level. Teaching a woman from rural India how to save the resources that she has will make local banks stronger. Introducing her to phone banking or cashless payments will make digital India stronger. If you teach women how to invest, you increase participation in the stock market. So financial literacy, ladies and gentlemen, I think is an asset. It's a national asset, and we have the potential to double it by making women part of this. What we need to do is ensure that our women are financially aware, financially skilled, and financially wise. And I think today's event, today's launch is a very important step in that direction. So let me congratulate all of you again for participating and Shubraji for leading this. Thank you.
Thank you, Palki. So coming to journalism, in your career, you've reported news in a wide variety of topics, from politics to social issues, women's issues, and you come across as a very, very straightforward and direct in your style, and Beyond has emerged as one of the most impartial and unique world news channels. How difficult is it to stay on this path? Have you faced any pressures to pick a side?
Okay. You start with the toughest, and I see you have a long list. Yes and no. There's always a pressure in life, and you have to find a way to manage. I mean, all the women, you may not be journalists, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that you deal with pressures on a daily basis, and you pick some battles and you leave some out. That's what we do too. Is it difficult to do what I do? It's exciting. Because I say what I want to say. And that should be the easiest thing, right? When you say what you're not feeling like, when you're lying, that's when you really have to make an effort. When you're just saying it as you feel, then you feel no pressure. You go home smiling, your team goes home smiling. So we do what we want to do, and so far, the support that you guys have given, I mean, I think we should move our headquarters to Hyderabad. So much warmth, wonderful. No, it's not easy every day, but it's very exciting, and it keeps us motivated. Every time we see resistance, we know we're doing something right, and that keeps us going.
We have a lot of men in the audience today, thanks to ICICI. Is gender equality a concern for men? The question is for them. Typically, a man is expected to cater to the material needs of the family and nurturing the needs of the family. The pressure to perform is very high on them, and we as women, we keep talking of women empowerment and women equality. Having said that, my personal opinion is that men are also under a lot of pressure. What's your say on this gender equality discussion?
There are all kinds of men, yes. There are a lot of men who believe in gender equality, who are feminists and who are not shy of calling themselves feminists, and kudos to them. And then there are men who believe in the concept but don't want to do very much about it in their own homes, right? I'm all for it, but you don't do it, right? So there's all kinds of people. And I hope that men are feeling the pressure, as you say. I mean, why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? Look at working women. They go to office and they have to prove that they're not thinking about their children. They go home and they have to prove that they're not thinking about office. They have to prove themselves all the time. So if all of us are on the same boat, we'll be more sympathetic to each other.
That's amazing. But do you think our country today is ready for gender-neutral laws?
Yes. We'll never be ready until it's thrust upon us. Who likes rules? Who likes laws? But we need gender-neutral laws. We need parity at every level for those who have not come to terms with it, for them to accept it. So I'm a very sort of staunch believer in equality.
Do you think a day will come when it is made compulsory for mothers and stay-at-home wives to be paid a salary? Will the world economy recognize their contribution to growth by not monetizing their efforts and by introducing a monetary element?
I think they have to ask it for themselves. No one gives you rights on a platter. And you don't have to wait till you're till your children have all grown up to say, okay, I've done so much in life, now I need control of your bank account. You have to put your foot down and say that what I'm doing is work. And I need to be compensated for this work, not just with a thank you, if it ever comes, but with, really, it's a thankless job, right? So they have to ask for it. And that does not mean that they are sowing discord in their families. They just, and I think when women do this, they will set the right example for their children, especially their sons. Boys who grow up in households with strong women will learn to respect the opinion of strong women. So mothers of boys, as somebody said earlier today, have a bigger responsibility.
That is why our theme for the year is Stronger She. So now I have no qualms in admitting we are all strong ladies, right? Women remain underrepresented in decision-making posts that shape politics. So a lot of women are climbing up the political ladder. We see a lot of them there. But there is a gap. There is a gap in the sense, even if we have a good union minister as a female, her voice is still not heard as much as a male counterpart is. What needs to be done legislatively so that women can come into decision-making policies and positions?
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about quota for women, and I'm fundamentally against reservation of any type, including reservation in parliament. I think changes like these also have to go from bottom up. So women in decision making, why just politics? Look at Fortune 500 companies. How many of them are led by women? Recently, we did a report on the young girls who topped the UPSC exam. And while we celebrated them and congratulated them, we also raised a question. India has been an independent country for more than 7 decades. We don't have a single woman as a cabinet secretary. So even more girls are topping board exams, 10th and 12th. They're topping college exams. They're topping UPSC exams. Then why do they get lost along the way? Why are they not topping the promotion lists? The answer to this is very complicated. Because as Indira Nooyi famously said, your career cycle and your biological cycles clash. Then there is the pressure from society. I've had at least 3 women in my team in the last 1 year who've left their jobs because either they were getting married to somebody who was not stationed in Delhi, or their husband was getting a transfer, and I asked all of them the same question. I'm not sure their mothers like me, but I asked them, would your husband leave his job if I were to move you to Bombay? They would not. So I think women need to stand up for themselves more than the government or legislation or anything else, and not leave their careers midway. I think what we have today, you and I, we're sitting here, all of you guys who are, I'm sure, leaders in your own rights, expressing your opinion and not afraid of anyone. Somebody has worked very hard to help us reach here, to help us get the education that we wanted. We've made our choices in life because many, many women over generations fought for these rights, and we take them for granted. We do not think twice about saying, I want to study this or I want to work here, right? So we need to pay it forward. And all the women who leave the workforce now and say, it is my choice and I've decided not to work, are, I'm sorry, but doing a disservice. Because if you do not lead now, we will not have enough workplaces led by women, and then the women who follow will fight the same battles.
Very true, very true. Choice for women is not about biology. It's about basic equality. You've spoken about it at Gravitas. For example, the right to abortion, for an instance. We as women, probably not we, but a large section of our women population is deprived of control of destinies in continuation to what you just said. It's right, you're right when you say that we take control, but it's not easy. Then what do, as women, you do? And a woman is first asked to take a sabbatical in the career, and a man is never asked to do that.
So, like I said, you fight your battles and you see which battles you want to pick. I know it's not easy. I'm a mother of two and I have a very supporting family. But every time I'm traveling or I know that my child has a test or is unwell, I do feel those pangs of guilt. And then I tell myself that if I show weakness, then maybe my daughter will also grow up to be a woman who is guilty of leaving her family behind. So I don't think I can generalize. I don't think I can universalize my experience. I think every woman has to make that choice, and deep down she knows what she's choosing. And if you choose to put your family over your career, that's your choice, and it should be respected. But it's not an easy battle. Why do we call it a battle? Because there will be some collateral damage there. So we need to, I think, make our own decisions. That's not something I can foist on anyone.
And also, having said that, when we discuss these issues, if a woman is financially empowered, the moment a woman has a control over her own finances, every other compromise becomes minimal. It becomes very, very small because the man involved understands that this is a strong, empowered woman. She will not succumb to undue pressures. In that case, when we all realize that, and this is the need of the hour, as journalists, why doesn't our education system makes it compulsory to inculcate financial literacy in children from a young age?
I think they should. I think I do see some changes and difference in curriculum compared to when I went to school and what my children are doing, mental math and budgeting and things like that. But I think they have a long way to go. Also because, like I said, we do have a conflicted relationship with money. It's considered a taboo, and don't talk about money, and why do you want money, and chase higher things in life. So we need to understand that money is just a tool to get other things done. And we need to manage this tool, and we need the skills to control it, otherwise it'll control us. So yes, schools need to change their approach, and so do we at home.
Please release one of your powerful messages through your news channel so that this policy making begins, at least the seed for this is sown somewhere.
We will.
Yeah. And also, coming from my industry, I've seen that a woman's ITR getting filed and the man comes and tells the chartered accountant, "Itna hi dikhana hai." And my question is why? Who are you? Let the woman decide. Her capacity is built through that ITR, but it doesn't happen. So the system has to change from the bottom level. It doesn't happen that easy. So you must release a good article, a documentary on this that impacts the judiciary.
Do you want to look there and say all of this?
So
while the message is for...
while I'm sitting here, I'm sure I do not belong to that space. Over and above that. Women are not included in financial decision making at a social level, at a business level. Even when it comes to businesses, I know a lot of entrepreneurs are sitting here, but still they will always go back. Acha, let me just consult him one time and come back. How do we do this mental conditioning? How do we break the stereotype?
Education and self-confidence. Women need to be equipped with the same skills that men have, and more importantly, they need to break barriers here and know that they're capable of doing things. Nobody comes with any skill when they're born. We all hone our skills, we all learn, and we all make mistakes, including financial mistakes, I'm sure. Some of the biggest industrialists have failed. Somebody mentioned Lehman Brothers. Look how big they were, and then they went bust. So anyone can go wrong, but I think we need to be confident of what we're doing, and more importantly, we need to arm ourselves with the right skills and education to feel that confidence.
Having said that, even though education may exist, but I'm coming from a multinational background also. I've also worked with one of India's world's largest corporates, but I've seen when we say that we have crossed those levels, but the fact is, when people have to hire, there's no gender parity. A man at the same post, qualification and experience will always get an upper hand than a woman, because the basic notion stays that, she would be tied down back at home. She will not be able to deliver what a man can deliver. And we've been talking about gender parity since decades now.
So that's what I was referring to when I said that when more women are leading teams and when more women are leading companies, they will relate to women. There's another thing that I've noticed a trend, that women tend to not ask, right? And enough and more studies have shown that that I think somebody conducted this survey and there was a job description given and the qualification that you needed for such and such post. And the only women who applied were those who qualified 100%. But the men who applied were those who qualified only 60%. So the men thought that they will wing it. And, they felt the confidence. Also in promotions, I think women are promoted on the basis of performance, while men are promoted on the basis of potential. When somebody makes you a manager, they say, he has the talent, he'll be able to do it. You talk about a woman and say, what has she done in the last 1 year? Let's look at her record. So this is our conditioning. We need to change it. And I keep coming back to the thing that women have to change it. They have to ask, they have to say, I do not get paid enough for what I'm doing, and I need my salary to be this much, otherwise I'm not working here. We don't have to say sorry before we start a sentence. It's our right, we work, and we deliver, and we should be compensated accordingly. So it starts with us.
So we should also change our slogan from she is us, and we stand for us. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to open the floor for question and answers so that we have a very interactive session today with Palki.
Hello, my name is Zahra Rajkotwala. So I have a question for you, Palki Sharma. So as you mentioned how our education system fails to address financial literacy completely, what do you think the reason for that is? Is it because they're doing it on purpose just to make us study hard and just, do it just for specific reasons and not make us see how much we are actually capable of? What do you think our education is doing that for?
Schools always test us, don't they?
Yes.
I think with changing times, the education system needs to evolve. I would like to believe it is evolving, and I don't think anything that you learn in school is a waste of time, including trigonometry, which I've never personally used after I left school, but I think something good came of it. So yes, the education system needs to change, and we need to focus more on how we manage money. The easiest way I think schools have come up with is ask children to bring money for the canteen and figure out how to spend it. But yes, on a serious note, they need to do more. And like Shubhraji said, in whatever little way we can, we will also try to raise awareness and push the system. I don't think it is by design. I don't think anyone sort of sat down and said, let me make sure no child knows how to use money. I don't think that happened. But yes, there is an immense scope for change.
Good evening. And I have a little personal question for you. You are a highly qualified person. Talking of gender parity and equality, how much respect does your husband give you for your financial decisions? And does he leave his financial decisions to you? Yes, he does. Oh, wow.
A very good evening to you, Palki. I am Veni. I have taken up some board positions. And I was very much introduced as a women director. I said, no, I'm not a women director. I'm one of the board of directors. So one thing I would request you is through your channel, if you can enable something like a part-time working. Because I'm also a globally, I'm an entrepreneur. I do business with global companies and all that. I think this is one area which will enable women to take up roles irrespective of the biological clock, or it will give more people to come into employment. I think part-time working is one area. If through your channel, if you can voice, that would be really grateful. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Hi, Palki. I'm Parinita. So, thank you so much for your time and coming here and, like talking to all of us. So, you were just mentioning that, women don't raise their hands enough. And especially until they're 100% sure that, they qualify for that promotion, for that job. And I can relate to that. And I'm doing that unknowingly at times. How do you think all of us can change that and, raise our hands more? And if men can do it for 60%, I think we can do it for 40%. So how do we do that?
Absolutely. How do we do that? First of all, everything trains us to be docile and diffident. When I was in college, one of my professors gifted me a book which I found to be a very curious choice. It said, "It's okay to say no." And then I asked her, "Why did you give this to me?" And she said, "Because you don't have to please everyone. You can say no, and that's okay. And you can't please everybody. So you have to consciously tell yourself that it's not my job to accommodate everyone." And all of us do it in our own little ways. We don't want to be seen as troublemakers. We don't want to be seen as too ambitious. It'll come over time, I hope. And if you're mothers, you can instill it in your daughter and your son that it's okay for women to speak out of turn. If it's okay for women to have a strong opinion on something. So yes, once you recognize that this is an issue and that the people around me are getting ahead of me just because of their confidence. I remember reading something which said that when we are raising young girls, we tell them how to be good girls and not do certain things. And I'm generalizing a lot here, but when boys play and they fall, we say, okay, this is how you grow up. So boys grow up to be risk takers, while girls grow up to be rule followers. It's important to break rules at some point in your life to forge ahead. The only people who did something spectacular are the ones who went against the tide. So I think the first step is to tell yourself that it's all right.
Thank you.
Palki, I'm going to ask you a question here. Yes, ma'am. No, you don't, ma'am, me, please. I'm going to tweak, in my thinking at least, what the two of you said. Maybe you all were trying to be politically right, possible, not questioning that. Year after year, globally, everybody is talking of women empowerment. I think I'll stand up so that, okay. Don't you think it's time men need to be empowered to understand women, to teach the son how to respect women and fellow human beings? It's convenient that they leave that job to the mother as a young kid. Even as an adult, it doesn't happen. And I'm saying this because I work very closely with the government, with the police department on women's safety and other issues. And we see that unless that's done, time and again it comes up. And yet we badger and say, women empowerment. I'll take an example. When I was growing up, just out of my teens, and I think the generation that we came from, you finish your college and you get married. That's how it was, right? So the grandmother teaches me just before I'm going to get married that here is a doormat. What is it meant to be? Wipe your legs before you enter home. She said, okay, don't ever become that if you don't want people to rub you on the wrong side. Be affirmative. People will think you are aggressive. Let them think, let them believe. You continue to be affirmative. That's what I was taught. And I think my grandmother was only class 4 or class 5 studied, So it's amazing learning there. But now we need to transfer some amount of responsibility consciously to the men. What do you have to say to that?
I don't want to villainize men completely. I think some of them are doing their bit and doing it quite well. While I'm sitting with you guys, my husband is taking care of the children. So yes, women need to stand up for themselves, to speak up for themselves, not be doormats in any situation. And you don't need to be going to school to have that force of personality to make sure that you have your way. Education just gives you the financial tools and the social standing to be able to assert yourself with more authority. You could call it male empowerment. You could call it whatever you want. But essentially, I think the change that we need in our society is not just in women, but also, not just in men, but also women. Recently, this morning I was reading on social media, there's a new ad of some deodorant, which is in very bad taste. I don't know if you guys have seen this, something called Layers Shot. And it commodifies women. I think it's in very bad taste. There are headlines here in Hyderabad. We know what has happened with a young girl. I think that the change that you're talking about has to come from all sections of society. At my age, I still send my mother a message every day that I've reached home. I don't think men have to do that. So, and society is not created just by men. Yes, they might be more guilty of certain things. But I think all of us have a role to play here and empower ourselves as a society to ensure that women get their rightful place and voice their opinion.
I'm Ananda, and my question is that maybe you have met a lot of women leaders, and as a course of your professional journey, has anything changed in terms of leadership style from what they were then to what they are now? Do you think, women leaders during those times, we're talking about a couple of decades back, they used to be probably a little bit more masculine or more aggressive, or is there any change that you have really noticed when you have, studied these styles of leadership?
How old do you think I am? Women leaders 2 decades back.
No, I meant that.
No, yes, I think the style has. I think women leaders are not shy of being themselves. They don't have to behave like men. There's a very good example of Jayalalitha. I don't know how many of you have read. She made sure that to fit in the man's world, which was politics then, she shed all symbols of feminism in a way. She was a heroine. Women try to fit a part. Suddenly they start wearing clothes which are deemed more appropriate for leadership. I remember, I think, Sushma Swaraj telling a friend of mine that you will always be judged by your appearance. I remember when Theresa May became Prime Minister of Britain, she went to meet the Prime Minister of Scotland, I think, Nicola Sturgeon, and they were both sitting together, wearing skirts. And the newspaper headline said, "The legs have it." So women all over the world are judged by their appearance. Hillary Clinton faced the worst of it with her pantsuit. Sarah Palin, I mean, you may not agree with their politics and their ideology, but the fact is that they were all first seen as women and then professionals. I think some of that is changing now. I think we have leaders like the New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who goes to the United Nations General Assembly with a baby and does not feel sorry about it or apologetic about it. I remember going to Israel a few years back, and we had a meeting with some of the lawmakers there, and they were supposed to brief us about how the Knesset works. And they call them MK, member of the Knesset, like our MPs. And this lady walks in, and behind her is her partner with a pram, which had a small baby. And it was a lunch meeting, and she sat down, and her partner was sitting, and they were tending to the baby, and she said, it's sleep time for him, and I have to go. And it was so inspirational, because she, not for once did she feel that it was out of place for her to be briefing a foreign delegation while carrying her little child with her. it does not happen, you know. So I think there is change. I think women are consciously trying to make sure that they don't have to pick one over the other. And that is welcome change. And women leaders, in COVID we saw the countries that were led by women fared much better than countries led by men. Because traditionally, look at the ministries and the roles that women are given. You know, women and child development, healthcare, family welfare. But that's what we needed during a pandemic. And women excelled, while men with all their bravado could not do a lot of it. So there is definitely a lot of change. Women do not feel compelled to fit into a certain mode or formula.
Hi Palki, I'm Batsala here. I follow your gravitas very keenly, and I'm very keen to know how you pick the topic.
You're the third person who's asked me this today. How do we pick the topics? I have a team of very, very bright people who don't think twice before saying no to me, and they say, I don't agree with this, I'm not writing this, which I appreciate. But we have, some time back we came to some sort of an agreement. Why would people watch news? And you know, there's a joke in the industry, an editor very famously said that at 9 o'clock my competition is not other news channels, it's comedy nights with Kapil and Big Boss. तो उसको छोड़ के मुझे देखने क्यों आएगा कोई? So what should you show so that you keep the audience engaged? So we discussed, when you go back home from work, what do you tell your mother or wife? You know what happened? Modi met Xi Jinping. Would you ever say that? No. You'd probably say, you know what happened? Russia is going to attack Ukraine. Maybe. What is it that is a hook that'll, you know, keep you engaged in a conversation? Also, what is it that matters to you? Do two leaders shaking hands really deserve the top headline all the time? They don't. So we tried to shift the focus of news from the newsmaker to the news consumer. And that is the one parameter that we always follow when we pick a story. Will it interest you? Will it impact you? Will it make conversation? And that's what we do. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. But in the age of social media, the viewers are never shy of telling us when it worked and when it did not. So thank you.
Yeah, but most of times it's working very well. So we also get a marketing lesson here. Consumer is the most important decision-making factor in every business. So that's amazing.
Hi Palki, hi. This is Santoshi. One of the interesting questions we have spoken about is wage gap and all. I think, don't you think it's time we speak about the age gap or the wage gap in STEM, like science, technology, engineering, mathematics. There's a lot of gap and there's a lot of females that are not being seen. Like we are talking about financial education and literacy for kids at a very young age. I come from a background where, trust me, in my journey, I have been one among 80, one among 70 boys, one among 80 men in my corporate culture, and even in an industry in manufacturing where there are no women. It's very surprising. What do you think we can do differently in such scenarios where you hardly find women and you're like, I think one pretty lady said, I'm a women director. And like, no, I am a board director. So this is very prevalent in a lot of industries which we are not speaking. How do you think we can address it?
We can address it by not leaving the workforce midway, by going the whole hog. I think we've all been part of board meetings where you're the only woman or you're the only lady there, and then you have to deal with, I'm not saying those men are mean, or they just don't think that there's a woman, and they crack jokes which are inappropriate in the company of a woman, or they, you know, it's tough. But if you had more like you in that room, then it probably would not happen. So what we need to do is make sure that there are more women in whichever room you're in. It's a classroom, studying math honors, it's a boardroom, wherever it is. So don't leave halfway is the only way to do it.
I think that's wonderful line.
Thank you so much, Palki, for answering all the questions.
The pleasure was all mine. For a change, I was not asking them.
No, but
we wouldn't mind even if you wish to ask. We have a very enlightened panel of our past chairs. We have ICICI, we have a lot of young professionals and entrepreneurs amongst us. Let's do it the reverse way also.
No, I'm good. I'm not working today.
Addressing all our queries. I request Ms. Radhika Agarwal to bring the autograph sheet for our esteemed speaker's autograph. I now request Senior Vice Chair Ritu Shah to deliver the vote of thanks. I request the Power Parade, the sponsors to join for a picture, after which please join us for high tea.
A very wealthy evening to one and all. For women, financial independence is a matter of necessity. Creating wealth comes down to discipline, because when you invest, you are buying a day that you don't have to work. A woman's best protection is a little money of her own. On this note, I, Ritu Shah, on behalf of Wikiflow Hyderabad, take this opportunity to thank our speaker for today, Ms. Palki Sharma Upadhyay, for sharing her insights on the much-needed topic of the hour. Palki, I agree with you, the fact that financial education needs to start very early in life. Financial literacy is indeed an asset, and friends, keep investing in it. Thank you, Palki, for being here with us today. A generous thank you to our sponsors, banking and mentoring partners ICICI Securities Private Wealth Management, Platinum sponsor Argentum Arts the Silversmith, Diamond sponsor Freedom Rice Bran Oil, Hospitality partner The Park, event sponsor Srivari, creative partner RBC. I hope this list does not keep increasing. I hope it increases, but your support means a lot to us. Thank you, press and media, for placing Flow Hyderabad at the right places. Much gratitude to all our support system, our past chairs, for continuously guiding us throughout. Members of Flow Hyderabad, your presence means a lot to us. A big, big thank you to all the committee members of 2022-23 for working and putting such great events together. Make your own money so a man has nothing but loyalty to offer you. I hope you all agree to that. So friends, financial freedom is less about financials and more about freedom. Thank you and Jai Hind.
We'll request you for some pictures. Can we have Power Pride onto the dais, please? And then all other members can join.